What's up, guys? It's MENES back again. I guess we're technically reading between the lines right now. Um, but we're talking about I don't want to call it the AVGN book, but that's kind of what it is. It's the James Rolfe, his book, A Movie Making Nerd, which has a lot to do with AVGN, and a lot of people know James for the AVGN, but there's a what the book is about is like a lot more than that. There's sections about AVGN, and there's a big section at the end about the movie there. Um, a lot of which I had heard from the videos prior, back in the day, whenever the movie was coming out, which I'm sure a lot of that is on the Blu-ray, if I remember correctly. Um, but I remember I was super hyped about that movie too. Um, and we'll talk about that different time. But I wanted to talk about the book because I read probably less books than I should read. Um, and I do want to read more books. And I was thinking about putting this on the other channel, but I figure it's closely enough related to gaming with James and all of that. And then, of course, his channel, the Angry Video Game Nerd, the Cinemassacre channel. The Angry Video Game Nerd is what he's most known for, so it's kind of video game related. Anyway, I really look up to James Rolfe, and especially back in the day, he was kind of a big hero of mine in terms of just like making videos and whatnot, and making like quality fucking videos. Um, I kind of aspired to be something between him and maybe like Derek Alexander back in the day. The happy video game nerd, or now stop skeletons from fighting. Something to that effect when I was still trying to do these like really edited videos and whatnot. And honestly, I mean, I attribute both of them and like Pat the NES Punk and the Game Chasers for really getting me into retro collecting. But I feel like a lot of that started with AVGN because he had every or nearly every NES game. I mean, he had basically every NES game. Like he was missing some unlicensed ones and like stadium events and stuff. I don't count that shit. So like, I just thought that was so cool back in the day, and I would watch his reviews and I'd feel so good about them. Actually, some of the first reviews I think I saw of his, like I think the very first reviews is, um, I had just heard about the Zelda CDI games from my friends there at school, and I couldn't believe that they were real because I love Zelda, and I was so it just was so weird to me that these games existed, you know. So I had to go look them up, and then when I did look them up, James's reviews were the first videos about uh, the whole thing, and I thought the guy was hilarious back then, and I thought it was a little weird how like fucking pissed off he was at these games, but then I like got into it, and then I kind of think I forgot about it for a while, and then I remember specifically around the time of Egoraptor when he was making his sequelitis videos. We really liked Egoraptor at the time uh, from his Egoraptor awesome videos and whatnot. Like Metal Gear Awesome and stuff was a big one back then, but um, it kind of like he made those sequelitis videos and those were actually really good and. Uh, But he mentioned in there, he's like, I know you've all seen the AVGN review. And I'm like, no, I haven't seen this AVGN review of Simon's Quest. I'm like, I should go look that up. So I found like this really, really old review. And at the time I was really confused because I like thought maybe he had done a video after Egoraptor. I don't know why I thought this, but like, by the end there, it had turned out that Egoraptor was doing stuff like that because of AVGN. So it's like he was the one doing it originally. And I saw the really old video and I'm just like, oh, this is all right, I guess. But then I saw the newer video and I'm like, oh, okay. Um, And then I just started watching like all sorts of random videos, and I got really hooked on AVGN, at some point. But um, anyways, and as I dove into more AVGN and kind of finished up with that, I was looking around on his channel, and he would always talk about like all this other stuff that he did. So I watched like I think most of his movies or all of his movies that he had up there, and I really dove into that side of things too. And I do like his movie review content as well. I just like stuff that James does. I think he has a really good perspective on things a lot of the time, and It's Bullshit was another favorite series of mine that he used to do. Yeah, like back in like, I don't know, like 2010 to 2014 or so, we were like super into AVGN. I was especially, but and I remember there was kind of a dry spell there because he was making his movie and all of that, and you kind of hear about it and you're just like, oh well, it still sucks that there's not videos. But now after reading this book, I will never complain about that. Like again, not that I was complaining back then, but hell, I might have been. I think I probably was anyway. But just all the struggles and stuff he went through to make that movie, and everyone just came after him, and then like I hear all this bad press about the movie, all this stuff. Everyone says that it sucks or something. I mean, this was opinions of several years ago, but I really enjoyed the movie. I remember me and my friends, we all went to go see it in Chicago. Story for another time, but it was awesome. We all fucking had a great time, That's a really good movie, it was great. But this book talks about, his childhood. A lot of stuff that he hadn't really talked about before, more of his personal life stuff. Not like too much of that, but like he does dive into a lot of that, stuff from his childhood and like the birth of his kids and like his wife and all of that. A lot more revealed about stuff like that, that he kind of hasn't really spoken about before, which is all pretty interesting, and it adds kind of another layer to James and what he deals with on a kind of a daily basis, and it's a really great story, and I don't mean it in like, obviously it really happened, but you really get a lot more depth to what this guy's been through, and kind of how passionate he always was about movie making and stuff. And what I like is I knew certain aspects of it because I'd seen a lot of videos where he talks about all of this kind of stuff, but this kind of puts all the pieces together, and I think that's just really nice, and that's great. I like that a lot, and just hearing it from his own like very personal perspective is great, and I could just listen to that guy talk about anything, and honestly. It's kind of, I mean, I'm glad I read through the book because it like shows that I can still read through a 300-page book or whatever. But, just now as I was finishing it just earlier today before I finished it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's an audio book and I could have just listened to the whole thing and James narrates the whole thing. I gotta listen to that at some point. That's gotta be great, That's gotta be a really fun experience to hear him talk through all that because I just love listening to the guy, I remember he has so many random videos, but I've seen like, I would say like 90+% of his videos. I don't want to say I've seen them all because there was definitely ones that I've like probably not watched, but I remember there was random videos like on his site and stuff where like he would just read the old like Nintendo books, like they used to adapt books, like Nintendo games into books. I remember reading Blaster Master back in like elementary school and just being like, this is awesome, like look at this cover and shit, and, not knowing it was based on a fucking like Nintendo game or whatever. So yeah, really really cool stuff there. But yeah, that would have been nice to hear him read it, but I like reading it to myself, and I could kind of hear it in his voice anyway, because, I've listened to him talk so much and stuff. Yeah, I really enjoy, like I said, the experience of hearing him go on about things in his life, you know, and it wasn't even the AVGN stuff is just a really small portion. I mean, not small, but like that's not the focus of the book, you know. You get to know the context around that, which is great. Because the AVGN stuff, it's all there online for you to see. I mean, not everything, but you know, uh, it kind of speaks for itself. But then you get the story behind that and context behind certain things there, and it's just really interesting to see that and listen and read that. And you know, like I said, I just love hearing him go on about this kind of stuff. I'll listen to him talk about anything, you know, because he'll find a way to make it interesting. So, um, I don't. It was some James and Mike video too, where he's like, yeah, my kids watched My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and he's like going on, he's like, yeah, it's actually really good. And I'm like, fucking A. Even James Rolfe knows that show is awesome, so it's cool. I like that. You know, he's just a really cool and relatable guy. And I've been following his career for like several years now, and I try to watch everything new that he puts out because that guy is just like worth supporting, you know. One of my favorite YouTubers for sure. You know, he's just from the classic era of YouTubers, and then especially like the gaming scene on YouTube. He's just one of the best of those, and he's really popular, but you know, so he's got like this mystique to him, but he's just like a really down to earth guy too, apparently. Like, so that's kind of fun. But you know, he is popular. That's the other thing. It makes for a weird, you know, like contrast there. Kind of on a short list of a few people that I would still like to meet. I've met most of the people from the gaming community. I think like him and Johnny Millennium are the only ones I haven't really met. Never met Pete Dorr, but I could go without. If I get to meet AVGN at some point, that would be fucking awesome, you know. Even Johnny's like, he's cool. I like him too. I mean, I'm gonna talk about his movie here at some point as well. But yeah, I remember I met like Derek and his girlfriend there back in the day at Grace, yeah, at Portland. I think the last one I went to in 2018 there, I met them there, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was great. It's definitely worth a read. I would sit there, like I was trying to read like, you know, 5 pages a day just to kind of get through it or something. Just set like a little goal on it. And then I found myself just kind of reading and turning the page and turning the page. It's just a really interesting book to read, especially if you really like James Rolfe and like his career and you're really interested in that. This is definitely the book for you. You got to read this. And you know, that's me. I've been following this guy, like I said, for a long time. And I really appreciate what he does. I think his like kind of guerrilla can-do filmmaking style is just great, and the way he describes like some of the shit from the movie where he just had to kind of like figure out how to do a lot of stuff, which is just amazing that like, because it turned out to be such a great movie, and it doesn't even look like there was any struggle there, but you know, that's the magic behind it, I guess, is that. So we'll talk about that when I talk about the movie, I guess. But yeah, it just adds a lot of emotion and context and personal stuff to the AVGN, to James Rolfe, the man behind the AVGN, you know? So, because that's not all he is. He's more than that, you know? He's a movie buff, and he's a movie maker, you know? And he wants to do that too. A father. All stuff you'll find out about in this amazing book. So, highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Would James Rolfe again? I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hope that he writes another book someday to, you know, I would read that. I'll read anything he puts out, you know, so. And I'll watch whatever movie he puts out too, and whatever video he puts out, I'll watch it, you know, because I love that guy. I used to just binge his videos, and I still still was doing that up until, like, every now and again I just find myself, like, clicking onto those, like, big compilation videos of each season and just, like, watching through, you know, so. Always entertaining stuff, you know. The guy is just great. He's so talented, you know. I'm so jealous. But he works hard at it, and I very much appreciate that. He's somebody to look up to, you know. He's a great guy, and he's so humble about things, and he's cool. He's one of my idols, you know. I just really like him. So, yeah. Until next time, this has been Emily saying stick around, subscribe to join. Is this the Bad Girl Coven now? Are we doing that on this channel too, since it's a Zora Game Club now? I guess it can be. Fuck it. You're subscribing. Join the Bad Girl Coven, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Emily,